in a modest house in Omaha. Howard Buffett, a young stockbroker, is at a local party where he meets Layla Stahl, a soft-spoken woman with a gentle gaze. Soft music fills the room as they talk in a corner. Howard Buffett, smiling shyly, "I've never been good at socializing, but I'm glad I came today. Maybe the stock market consumes me too much." Layla Stahl, laughing softly, "Well, I'd say you're doing fine so far. I just hope you didn't bring those charts with you." Howard Buffett, playfully, Almost, but I promise at least today no stocks. I just want to hear more about you." That night, in a simple encounter, Howard Buffett met Layla, the woman with whom he would share his life. Together they would form a family based on strong values, frugality, and hard work. A few years later, on August 30th, 1930, Warren Edward Buffett was born. At the Buffett home in Omaha, with young Warren running around the backyard. He's about 5 years old, playing with a wooden toy car while Howard watches him proudly. Layla Buffett, looking out the window, speaking affectionately to Howard. He has incredible energy, always running back and forth. Sometimes I wonder what's going on in that little head. Howard Buffett, laughing, watching his son. With the curiosity he has, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already thinking about how to buy a toy car company. Layla Buffett, laughing too. "I wouldn't doubt it. He's so much like you, always analyzing everything around him." Warren grew up in a home where knowledge and curiosity were always encouraged. From an early age, he showed a peculiar interest in business, learning from his father the first lessons about economics and finance. What started as child's play would soon turn into a serious passion. Warren is at a neighbor's doorstep, holding a box of gum. He is only 6 years old but already shows negotiation skills. Warren Buffett, holding the box of gum with a determined smile. "Hello, Mr. Mitchell. Would you like to buy a pack of gum? I have peppermint and cinnamon here, just 5 cents each." Mr. Mitchell, looking surprised but amused. "5 cents, and how much did you pay for them, Warren?" Warren Buffett, without hesitation, "I bought each pack for 3 cents. If I sell them all, I'll make a profit of 2 cents per pack. That means I can buy more gum and maybe some sodas too." Mr. Mitchell, laughing, "You're already a little businessman, aren't you? I guess I can't say no to that. Give me 2 packs. Warren hands over the gum with a satisfied smile. This is how it began. At just 6 years old, Warren already demonstrated an unusual skill for business. He bought gum and Coca-Cola in small quantities and resold them to neighbors, always with a precise calculation of the profit he could make. Warren Buffett, holding the box of gum with a determined smile. "Hello, Mr. Mitchell. Would you like to buy a pack of gum? I have peppermint and cinnamon here, just 5 cents each." Mr. Mitchell, looking surprised but amused. "5 cents, and how much did you pay for them, Warren?" Warren Buffett, without hesitation, "I bought each pack for 3 cents. If I sell them all, I'll make a profit of 2 cents per pack. That means I can buy more gum and maybe some sodas too." Mr. Mitchell, laughing, "You're already a little businessman, aren't you? I guess I can't say no to that. Give me 2 packs. Warren hands over the gum with a satisfied smile. This is how it began. At just 6 years old, Warren already demonstrated an unusual skill for business. He bought gum and Coca-Cola in small quantities and resold them to neighbors, always with a precise calculation of the profit he could make. At 11 years old, Warren bought his first 3 shares, each costing $38. It was an important lesson. The shares fell shortly after the purchase, but Warren stayed calm. A few months later, they rose to $40, and he sold them. This was his first experience in the stock market, but also one of his greatest lessons: patience. Now a young adult, Warren is in a classroom at Columbia University. He listens attentively as Benjamin Graham, his professor and mentor, explains the principles of value investing. Benjamin Graham, walking around the room with a board of financial notes behind him. The key to success in investing is not following the crowd. It's finding companies that are being traded for less than their true value. That, gentlemen, is value investing. Warren takes notes, but his eyes shine with excitement. He has finally found the investment philosophy that will guide his life. Warren Buffett, thinking to himself, "This is exactly what I was looking for, finding value where no one else sees it." Meeting Benjamin Graham was a turning point in Warren Buffett's life. Graham not only taught him the principles of investing, but also became a key figure in his career. Under his guidance, Warren honed his skills, becoming a master at identifying undervalued companies. In a small office room in Omaha, Warren is 26 years old in 1956, sitting at his desk reviewing documents. He has already begun attracting a few friends and family members to invest with him. Next to him is his wife, Susan, supporting him in his decisions. The environment is simple, with a wooden desk and a stack of financial newspapers. Encouragingly, "I believe in you, Warren. I know this partnership will succeed. You have the talent, patience, and vision that few people have." Warren Buffett, looking at Susan with a confident but modest smile, "I just hope my friends and family see that too. They're trusting me and I don't want to disappoint them." Susan Buffett, holding his hand, "They know you'll do your best for them, and I'm here no matter what happens." In 1956, at the age of 26, Warren founded Buffett Partnership Limited, a small investment partnership with close family and friends. Though it was a humble beginning, he knew he was on the right path. However, the weight of managing the money of close people brought emotional and personal challenges. 2 years later, Warren faces his first big test. The economy begins to slow down, and one of his major investment bets starts to drop drastically. He's back in his office, this time surrounded by papers and financial reports. His face shows concern. He's on the phone with one of his investors, Mr. Anderson. "Mr. Anderson," with an anxious voice, "Warren, I trusted you, but the stocks are plummeting. Shouldn't we sell before things get worse?" Warren Buffett, taking a deep breath, "I understand your concern, Mr. Anderson, but I'm confident in the intrinsic value of these companies. They're undervalued right now, but the market will adjust. We need to be patient." Mr. Anderson, hesitant, "I trust you, Warren, but it's hard to see the money disappear like this." Warren Buffett, firmly, "I promise you my strategy is long-term. It's not about quick gains, but building something solid. If we're patient, the market will reward us." Mr. Anderson sighs on the other end of the line, but ends up agreeing. Warren faced his first major challenge as an investment manager. When stocks were falling and the market seemed to be collapsing, he kept his calm and faith in the value strategy he had learned from Benjamin Graham. His confidence wasn't just in his own ability, but in the patience he knew was crucial. Now in 1962, Warren Buffett is about to make one of the most important decisions of his career, acquiring Berkshire Hathaway, an old textile company in decline. He's sitting with his partner and friend, Charlie Munger, in a simple meeting room. In front of them is a board with Berkshire's financial numbers. Charlie Munger, looking at the board, "Warren, I have to admit, this doesn't seem like the safest move. The textile industry is slowly dying. What do you really see in this?" Warren Buffett, With a contemplative look, I know the textile business itself won't last, but this company has underlying value. We can use it as a platform to acquire other businesses. It's a long-term opportunity, Charlie. Charlie Munger. Thinking for a moment, then smiling. You always see things others don't. If you're right, this could be the beginning of something big. Warren Buffett. Determined. I believe it. We're going to turn Berkshire Hathaway into something much bigger than just a textile company. It was this unique vision that led Buffett to turn a failing company into the world's largest investment conglomerate. But at the time, many thought he was making a mistake by investing so much in a dying sector. The truth is, for Warren, Berkshire Hathaway was just the beginning of a bigger strategy. It's 1965. Warren is in the middle of an important meeting with Berkshire Hathaway executives when his secretary knocks on the door, interrupting him. Secretary. Hesitantly, Mr. Buffett, your wife Susan is on the line. It seems important. Warren looks at the executives in the room and apologetically gestures. He answers the phone with concern. Warren Buffett. Talking on the phone. Susan, is everything okay? Susan Buffett, with a soft but tired voice. Warren, you're always so busy. The kids miss you, and so do I. Warren sighs, realizing that his work was starting to affect his personal life. Warren Buffett, with a guilty voice. I know, Sue. I promise I'll make an effort to be more present. Things have been intense, but I'll try to balance it better. Although Warren Buffett was a genius in business, he struggled to balance his family life with his work responsibilities. The weight of managing billions and leading one of the largest companies in the country often kept him away from the people he loved most. Warren is sitting in a large auditorium, about to make an important announcement about his future and his fortune. Next to him are Bill and Melinda Gates, partners in his new philanthropic journey. Warren Buffett, speaking to a room full of journalists. All my life I believed in reinvesting profits. Now I believe it's time to reinvest in something greater. I'm committing 85% of my fortune to philanthropy, to causes that can change the world. Applause breaks out in the room. Beside him, Bill Gates smiles in admiration. Bill Gates, whispering to Warren, you've always played the long game, but this is more than we expected. It's inspiring, Warren. Warren Buffett, humbly, I've always believed that wealth should serve a greater purpose. If we don't use it for good, then what's the point? With this decision, Warren Buffett not only reaffirmed his position as one of the greatest investors of all time, but also as one of the world's greatest philanthropists. His commitment to humanity and social responsibility marked a new chapter in his life. It's the mid-2000s. Warren is in the hospital beside his wife Susan, who has been diagnosed with cancer. The room is quiet, except for the sound of medical machines. Warren, with a worried expression, holds Susan's hand while looking at her with a mix of sadness and regret. Susan Buffett, with a tired smile, Warren, don't worry so much. I know this is hard, but we had a good life together. Warren Buffett, struggling to hold back tears, I should have spent more time with you, Sue. I was always so focused on work. And now, Susan Buffett, interrupting him tenderly, don't blame yourself. You did what you thought was right. You built something incredible, something that will continue to help many people. But now maybe it's time to think about what really matters. Susan's diagnosis was a turning point for Warren. Throughout his life, he had dedicated almost all his time to investments and building his fortune. But at that moment, seeing his wife, he realized that time with family was irreplaceable. This deep realization would lead him to rethink many of his priorities in the years to come. A few months later, Susan passed away, leaving Warren devastated. The scene shows the funeral with a crowd of friends and family present. Warren stands in silence, looking at his wife's grave, holding the hands of his children, Susie, Howard, and Peter. Susie Buffett, with a soft voice, trying to comfort her father. Mom always said she lived a full life. She didn't want us to be sad, Dad. Warren Buffett, with tear-filled eyes. I know, Susie, but it's hard. She was always by my side, even when I wasn't enough by hers. Susie squeezes her father's hand tightly, and they share a moment of silence together as the camera slowly pulls away from the scene. Susan's death was the most painful event in Warren Buffett's life. He felt the weight of the loss not only as a husband, but as someone who realized that no matter how successful he was in business, the lost time with his loved ones could never be regained. This was the moment when he decided to refocus his life, concentrating more on his family and his philanthropic mission. A few months after Susan's death, Warren is in his living room, reviewing documents from his philanthropic foundation. He is more determined than ever to do what Susan had always supported, give back his fortune to society. He receives a call from Bill Gates. Bill Gates, on the other end of the line with a tone of empathy. Warren, I just wanted to say how sorry I am about Susan. She was an incredible woman. I know this must be a difficult time for you. Warren Buffett, with a calmer tone. Thank you, Bill. She always believed that we should use what we have to help others. I think now it's my turn to really honor that. Bill Gates, you're already doing that, Warren. Your decision to donate most of your fortune will change lives, and I'm sure Susan would be very proud of you. Warren Buffett, with a slight smile. She was always my greatest inspiration. Now I just want to make sure what I built is used to make the world better, just as she would have wanted. Susan's loss led Warren to double down on his philanthropic efforts. He announced that he would donate 85% of his fortune to charity, most of it to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This decision was not only a reflection of his financial success, but also of his desire to leave a legacy that reflected the values he and Susan shared. At an annual meeting of Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, Warren is on stage, answering questions from investors and shareholders. The auditorium is packed, with everyone attentive to what the Oracle of Omaha has to say. Shareholder Emma, with a curious expression, Mr. Buffett, what do you see as the future of Berkshire and your legacy, considering all the success you've achieved? Warren Buffett, smiling serenely. I've always said that success isn't measured by the money you have, but by the impact you leave on the world. Berkshire will continue to thrive, but what really makes me happy is knowing that what I've built will continue to help people, even when I'm no longer here. Shareholder Emma, and what about the next generation of investors? What's the most important advice you would leave them? Warren Buffett, invest in yourselves. The greatest asset anyone can have is their knowledge and skills. And remember, the market may be unpredictable, but if you understand the long-term value of a business, you will succeed. The auditorium applauds, and Warren leaves the stage with a calm expression, knowing that his legacy is well established. By this point, Warren Buffett had already solidified his name as one of the greatest investors of all time, but also as one of the most admired figures for his generosity and vision for the future. His focus was no longer just on financial gains, but on ensuring that his fortune could be used to improve the lives of others. We are at the height of the 2008 global financial crisis. Warren is in his office in Omaha, surrounded by reports from companies and news of the market collapse. Stocks are plummeting, and the feeling of panic is taking over investors around the world. Despite the chaos, Warren remains calm, carefully reading the documents in front of him. Charlie Munger. Entering the office with a worried expression. Warren, we're seeing a crash like never before. Big banks are collapsing and investors are rushing to sell. What's our next move? Warren Buffett. Looking calmly at Charlie. Charlie, the market is scared, and when that happens, it's the best time for us to act. Now is the time to be greedy while others are fearful. Charlie Munger. Nodding. You're right, as always. What are you thinking of buying? Warren Buffett. Banks, energy companies, businesses with intrinsic value that can survive this storm. I'll start with Goldman Sachs. They need a capital injection, and we can offer that in exchange for preferred stock. During the 2008 financial crisis, when many investors panicked and sold their shares, Warren Buffett followed his usual philosophy: be greedy when others are fearful. He made large investments in companies like Goldman Sachs, General Electric, and others, acquiring undervalued stocks that would recover and yield enormous profits in the long run. A few weeks later, Warren is at the annual meeting of Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, where he faces a series of questions from investors concerned about the state of the market. The atmosphere is tense, but Warren maintains his confident tone and calm expression. Investor Mr. Tyler. With an anxious expression, Mr. Buffett, the market is falling like never before. How can you be so sure that this crisis won't destroy our companies? Warren Buffett. Smiling softly, I understand your concern. The truth is, the market may be unpredictable in the short term, but I invest in the long term. The companies we have in our portfolio are solid. Their real value hasn't disappeared because of this crisis. It's just a matter of time before they recover. Investor Mr. Brandon. But what do you recommend we do? Sell now before things get worse? Warren Buffett. Firmly. Absolutely not. That's the worst thing you could do. Fear is the worst advisor in times like this. Keep your investments. The market will recover, as it always does. Warren Buffett knew that in times of crisis, staying calm and trusting the value of companies was essential. He advised his investors not to sell their shares in a panic, reinforcing that time and patience always brought the best results. This moment proved his resilience and ability to navigate the turbulent waters of the financial market. 2 years later, in 2010, the financial market began to recover. We're back in Warren's office, where he is reviewing Berkshire Hathaway's financial results. Beside him is Charlie Munger, flipping through a report with a satisfied smile. Charlie Munger. Satisfied? It looks like your strategy worked as usual. Our investments are paying off well after the crisis. Warren Buffett. Calmly. I knew these undervalued assets would recover. It was tough for many, but patience and long-term focus brought us where we are. Charlie Munger. Laughing. Sometimes I wonder if you've ever worried about anything in life, Warren. Warren Buffett. Smiling slightly. Worrying doesn't change the future, Charlie. What matters is making decisions based on facts, not feelings, and now we're reaping the rewards of that. Warren Buffett's patience and long-term vision once again proved to be his greatest strength. With the market's recovery, the investments made during the 2008 crisis turned out to be extremely profitable, further solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest investors of all time. Warren is sitting on the porch of his simple house in Omaha. Beside him is his daughter Susie, who has come to visit and spend some time together. They watch the sunset, while Susie, with a smile on her face, brings up a deeper subject. Susie Buffett, looking at her father with admiration. Dad, have you ever stopped to think about everything you've achieved? All the awards, the praise, the fortune. Warren Buffett. Thinking for a moment. I never did it for recognition, Susie. It was always about doing something I loved, something that made sense. Money is just a byproduct of well-done work. But what really matters is what you do with it. Susie Buffett, smiling, touched by her father's words. And you've done so much for so many people. I'm sure Mom would be very proud. Warren Buffett, with a slight sad smile. I hope so. The most important thing is to make sure that all this continues to make a difference in the world, even when I'm no longer here. For Warren Buffett, success was never measured by the money accumulated, but by the impact he could have on the world and people. This long-term mindset, both in his business and in his philanthropy, transformed him into an admired and respected figure worldwide. In 2019, Warren Buffett is sitting in his office, looking at financial reports when he receives a call from an important advisor at Berkshire Hathaway. The advisor's tone is urgent and worried. Advisor Mason, on the other end of the line with a frantic voice. Warren, we're facing enormous pressure from shareholders. Many of them are demanding that we start investing in high-growth tech startups. The market is changing quickly and, well, many believe we're falling behind. Warren Buffett, calm but focused. I've heard these concerns before. Are we being tempted to abandon what got us here in exchange for promises of quick gains? Advisor Mr. Evan, yes, exactly. Some of the biggest investors on our list believe we should bet more on emerging technology, like Silicon Valley does. Warren Buffett, firmly, we're not going to change our philosophy. I don't invest in something I don't fully understand, and the tech bubble is something that still doesn't make sense to me. We'll keep focusing on solid, long-term businesses. In a moment when the market seemed to be changing faster and faster, with big investors pouring money into tech companies and startups, Buffett faced the greatest pressure of his career to change his traditional investment approach. For many, it seemed that his strategy was outdated, but he remained true to his principles. The 2020 Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting attracts thousands of people, and many shareholders are restless. The room is tense as Warren Buffett takes the stage to address concerns about the company's future and his decisions not to invest in tech giants like Amazon and Google. He faces a series of challenging questions. Shareholder Mr. Cole. With a critical voice, Mr. Buffett, with all due respect, Berkshire seems to be falling behind. The big bets now are on tech companies, and many believe your investment philosophy doesn't fit the modern market. Warren Buffett, serene but firm. I understand that concern, and I admit I didn't invest in companies like Amazon and Google because, honestly, I don't know enough about how they operate in the long term. I continue to invest in businesses that produce real and tangible value. That's what got us here, and I don't believe in chasing trends. Shareholder Mr. Nolan, still skeptical. But what if the market really changes? How can you guarantee we'll keep growing without betting on these emerging companies? Warren Buffett. The market always changes, but the fundamental value of businesses doesn't. Solid companies that generate real returns will always survive. My decisions are not based on fads, but on principles that have proven effective for decades. Buffett remained unshaken, even when pressured by some of the biggest investors in the world to change his strategy. He trusted in his philosophy of only investing in what he understood and in what he saw as lasting value, refusing to be swayed by the short-term frenzy that dominated the market. The COVID-19 crisis hits the world in 2020, and the financial market plunges into a massive downturn. Tech companies that were once seen as untouchable suffer, and many of the investors who once criticized Buffett now return to him, seeking advice. The scene shows Warren receiving a call from one of the biggest critics of his strategy, Mr. Hudson's skeptical investor. With a more humble and worried voice, "Mr. Buffett, I'd like to say I was wrong. This crisis, it caught all of us by surprise, and many of the investments we made in tech companies have collapsed. How did you manage to foresee this?" Warren Buffett, with a calm voice, "I didn't predict the crisis, but I've always believed that in moments like this, solid businesses are the ones that survive. Technology changes fast, and often companies don't have the structure to withstand such a strong blow. But companies with good financial fundamentals, with real value, they're more resilient." Mr. Hudson's skeptical investor, admiring, "I understand now. You kept calm even when everyone was rushing toward what seemed to be the future. We should have followed your example." Warren Buffett, "There's no problem in making mistakes as long as you learn from them. The market will always test our patience and convictions. The important thing is not to abandon what we know works." The crisis revealed Buffett's wisdom. He wasn't shaken by external pressures or the trends that consumed the market. His cautious approach, based on value and patience, proved to be the safest, even in times of uncertainty. In 2021, the economy begins to recover slowly from the crisis. At the traditional Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting, Warren, now in his 90s, takes the stage once again. The audience is quieter, admiring Buffett's resilience. He stands before the microphone and gives his final speech. Warren Buffett, looking at the audience with a serene and reflective gaze, "It's been a long journey. From my first investments to now, I've learned that success never comes from following the crowd. It comes from patience, from staying focused on what truly matters. And more important than any financial success is making sure that what we do with our time, with our resources, has a lasting impact." The applause echoes through the auditorium. Warren, with a humble smile, thanks the crowd and steps off the stage. Warren Buffett had reached the climax of his journey as an investor, not just as a master of the financial market, but as a figure of wisdom, patience, and generosity. He proved that true success is not measured only in numbers, but in solid principles and how we impact the world around us. In 2022, Warren Buffett, now over 90 years old, is at his home in Omaha, sitting in his favorite armchair. Around him are family photos and mementos from his long career. He is reflecting on his life while reading a letter from a young investor who admires him. The atmosphere is peaceful, and there's a sense of a mission accomplished. Over the decades, Warren Buffett built a legacy of integrity, patience, and wisdom. His investment philosophy, based on value and prudence, transformed lives and inspired generations of investors. But beyond his financial success, what truly stood out about Warren was his decision to give back his fortune to the world, helping to improve lives. Warren sets the letter aside and looks out the window, where he sees his granddaughters playing in the yard. A slight smile appears on his face, reflecting his satisfaction with the path he's taken. Warren is at a family reunion surrounded by his children and grandchildren. They're sitting around the table, laughing and talking about past memories. Susie, his eldest daughter, makes an observation. Susie Buffett, with a loving smile. "Dad, you know you did more than just build a company. You changed the way people see the business world. We're all so proud of you." Warren Buffett, smiling at his family, "I just did what I loved. I've always been passionate about the market, but none of this would have mattered if I didn't have you by my side. Everything I built was thinking about your future and the generations to come. Howard Buffett. Joking. And all this without ever spending much on luxuries, huh? Who would have thought the richest man in the world still lives in the same house? Everyone laughs together, and the scene conveys a sense of simplicity and family closeness. Despite all his wealth, Warren Buffett never needed extravagances to be happy. His simplicity and frugality were trademarks of his life, and this inspired not only his children, but all who followed his journey. Warren Buffett is in a conference room, receiving a group of young investors participating in a mentorship program supported by the Gates Foundation. He speaks calmly to the audience, sharing his last life and market lessons. Warren Buffett. The most important lesson I can give you is this: invest in yourselves. Learn, read, seek knowledge. The market will change, trends will pass, but the value of who you become, of what you know, that's immutable. Levi, a young investor, admiring, Mr. Buffett, you changed the way I see the investment world. Thank you for everything you've done for our generation. Warren Buffett, with a humble smile. I'm glad to hear that. Remember, success comes with time and patience, and more important than making money is what you do with it for the greater good. In addition to being a mentor to a new generation of investors, Warren also dedicated himself to social and educational causes, promoting financial and philanthropic knowledge. Through his billion-dollar donations and his vision of a more just world, he left a legacy that went far beyond his business achievements. Warren in his armchair again, looking at the sunset in Omaha. He is at peace, reflecting on everything he has accomplished. In the background, the soft sound of family laughter as his grandchildren play in the yard. The silence is filled with a sense of gratitude. Warren Buffett never sought fame or fortune for vanity. He lived simply, guided by principles and the desire to do good. Now, in his later years, he knew his legacy was secure, both in the markets and in society. His name would be remembered not only as the greatest investor of all time, but as someone who lived according to his values. In the city of Omaha, we see a group of young people, including Warren Buffett's grandchildren, working on philanthropic and sustainable business projects. They're involved in various initiatives promoting financial education, public health, and support for underprivileged communities. Susie, Warren's daughter, coordinates these activities, carrying on her father's legacy. Susie Buffett, speaking at a meeting with philanthropic partners. My father always believed that true value doesn't lie in what you accumulate, but in what you share. Our goal is to ensure that his vision of a more just world continues to grow. Warren Buffett's legacy lives on in his family and future generations, who follow his example of simplicity, generosity, and commitment to social welfare. His influence goes far beyond the financial markets. It extends to the heart of philanthropy and education. In a university classroom, where a professor is giving a lecture on investments, he displays a picture of Warren Buffett on the projector and speaks to the students about Buffett's impact on the business world. Professor Mr. Henry, enthusiastically, Buffett wasn't just a brilliant investor, he was a visionary. He showed us that financial success doesn't have to come at the expense of your principles. His contributions to philanthropy are as impressive as his profits in the markets. Student Max, curious. So he really donated most of his fortune? Professor Mr. Henry, smiling. Yes, more than 85%. He believed that money wasn't an end in itself, but a tool to improve the world. And that lesson goes far beyond investments. It's a philosophy of life. Warren Buffett's impact on the world goes beyond the profits he accumulated or the companies he acquired. He redefined what it means to be successful and taught that, with patience and principles, it's possible to leave a legacy that transforms the lives of many. A young investor alone in his apartment, reading the famous book by Benjamin Graham, The Intelligent Investor. On the wall, a poster of Warren Buffett with one of his famous quotes, "Time is the friend of wonderful businesses." The young man looks at the poster with admiration and writes something in his notebook. Jackson, a young investor, thinking out loud, "Investing isn't about getting rich quick. It's about making smart choices and thinking long term." Thank you, Mr. Buffett. Warren Buffett's wisdom continues to inspire millions around the world. He left a clear path for those seeking not only wealth, but also a positive impact on the world. His patience, simplicity, and generosity continue to shape future generations. Warren Buffett's story is more than a journey of financial success. It shows us how values such as patience, integrity, and a commitment to the greater good can transform a life. From his humble beginnings in Omaha to becoming one of the greatest investors of all time, Buffett always kept his focus on what truly mattered, creating a positive impact on the world, caring for his family, and sharing his wealth with those in need. His long-term vision, both in business and in life, is a lesson for all of us. He taught us that true success is not in accumulating, but in sharing. It's not in speed, but in patience. And that time is the greatest ally of those who invest wisely and with principles. And you? What can you learn from Warren Buffett's life and lessons? How about starting today to invest in your knowledge, thinking about the impact you can have around you, and seeking a balance between personal success and social responsibility? Buffett's path teaches us that it's never too late to start walking the path of success with ethics and purpose. If this story inspired you, share it with your friends, family, or colleagues. You can help spread these lessons of wisdom and patience so that more people can reflect on how their actions today can shape a better future for everyone. In the next video on the Inspiring Stories channel, we will explore the incredible journey of another visionary. Someone who, like Buffett, knew how to see beyond the obvious and turn dreams into reality. Stay tuned as we have many exciting and inspiring stories to come. I'd love to hear your opinion. What stood out most to you in Warren Buffett's story? Was it his simplicity, his generosity? Leave your comment below and share your thoughts. Your interaction is very important for us to continue bringing these inspiring stories to you. And if you haven't subscribed to the Inspiring Stories channel yet, don't waste any time. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos full of learning, motivation, and stories that make a difference. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for following this story so far. Your presence here on our channel is what makes all this possible, and it's a joy to share these lessons with you. Here on Inspiring Stories, we tell emotional stories of people who changed the world with their visions and actions. Stories that bring valuable lessons, whether about success, overcoming challenges, or leaving a lasting legacy. Our mission is to inspire, motivate, and awaken in each of you the desire to make a difference. Keep seeking inspiration, knowledge, and above all, purpose in everything you do. See you in the next video. Until then,